Very broad shoulders this year. A number of times you've come out to face me and my colleagues, and there has been criticism after results like this. Once again, the criticism will come. Questions will be asked about players' commitment, whether you run enough, whether you want it enough. Is that warranted at times, or is it unfair, Bruno?
No, it's the opinion of other people. I can't make people have all the same opinion about me, about my players, about my team. And that's it. And I'm not obviously we're not stupid. We know the position we are. It's easy to criticize because this club has never been like this. Has never suffered in the last years the way we've been suffering this season. And then it's normal. You need to be aware that you play for Manchester United. You know the criticism will be there. You're gonna get some credit when you do good things. So just you need to find the balance of the way to take it.
You've made it clear that it's huge on Thursday night, but how huge in terms of Manchester United's history looking forward? How big is Thursday now for you all?
No, Thursday is big to get into the semi-final. That's why it's big. It's big because we're going to play at home. We're going to play in front of our fans. And being in the position we are, they're being so supportive of us today. Again, end of the game, they were all there waiting for us to try to cheer us up, to try to make understand that they will be there for us on Thursday. And I'm pretty sure they will be there. They've been there all season through all bad moments. And it's time for us to understand that we need to give something back. And the Europa League, it's a chance now to get into the semi-final. This team will put everything out, as we always do. Even if the results are not always in our side, we always do. It could be that people think in different way, but we always try. I've seen my teammates. I know sometimes you even see myself frustrated on the pitch and everything. But I get frustrated because I know we are much better than we actually being. And I think my teammates, I only get frustrated with them because I know how good they are. I know how good they can be. I know how much they can do. And I know how tough it is to represent this club. And it's difficult for everyone when you are in these kind of positions because they want so much to give to the club. They want so much to win with this club because they know how much they will be remembered if they win something with this club. So going forward, we play Thursday. We're going to do it together with our fans. We're going to create a big atmosphere in our stadium. We need to be on the front foot. We need to give everything we have because we want to be in the semi-final.
Very quickly and finally, and you've spoken very well there, you know your teammates in there better than anybody. You know them professionally, you know them personally. Do you believe that amongst that group you have the ability to bounce back from something like this and still salvage something for Manchester United? Do you believe there's the character within there?
I don't need to believe. I need to see what we've done in the past. And in tough moments, we have come out and doing great performance against great teams, against the biggest clubs. This season, if you look at our results against the biggest clubs, probably where we play our best football in decisive games where everyone is watching. And this is going to be the one against Lyon, big team in France, big team with a lot of history in the European competitions. But we are Man United, so we have to step up. We have to do everything we can to win the game, and I'm pretty sure that my teammates and myself, together with all the staff, together with all the fans and the club, will be together to win that game.
Bruno, I think you've just demonstrated why you're the captain. Well done, thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Great area of the pitch, and you were impressed with Newcastle. We'll come to that, and we'll show the goals in a moment. Eriksen, you're right, he's at the end of his career. What about £50 million on Manuel Ugarte? Where are you with that?
I don't see it. I see a player that's just a very average player passing the ball backwards and sideways all the time. And for me, you have to be a lot more than that for that price. But without just digging out individuals, as a team collectively, they've allowed Newcastle to do what they want on a football pitch. They've allowed it, and like I said, that can happen here. But for Man United fans looking at that on a TV or in the stands, if you're letting them do that and not getting a hand on it, there's got to be something more to that from a football club as big as Man United. And I sit there next to these two and I'm going, someone do something, go and kick someone, go and look like you care, go and look like you're not going to allow it to happen. I didn't see it.
Very difficult to do as well, all of that, when you're really struggling in centre-forward positions. And I've said it before, that I feel sorry for Højlund. Xerxes not a centre-forward because constantly when the ball's going up there, they're not strong enough or perhaps even good enough to actually hold the ball, and then at least you've got some sort of platform to build on if you've got someone to hold the ball up, and then players can run off. But I think that's one of the bigger problems of Man United is the recruitment. They are where they are. It's a very difficult position, and it's going to be a long road until they get anywhere near where they want to do. And that wasn't their season today in terms of the league. The league's gone this year. It's a disaster. It's a write-off. Thursday is their season in the Europa League.
Yeah, you say it's a write-off, and as I mentioned earlier on, whatever happens from now on in, this will be the lowest Premier League points tally ever in Manchester United's history, even if they win every single game between now and the end of the season. I mean, that's the starting point, Nicky, where they've got to try and come back from. It's an all-time low in Premier League history.
It is, yeah, but for me, I'm not, like Al said, I'm not looking at the league, I'm not looking at the table, I'm not looking at where they're going to be. They're not going to get relegated, they're not going to win or get in the Champions League without winning the Europa League. For me, it's like, it's just walking football, it's just passing and passive, pass slow, no energy, there's no even enthusiasm to go and get up the pitch and try and win. They played most of the second half, on the edge of their box, passing 3-yard passes, and it's just boring to watch.
I think on 2 occasions, first half, Xerxes had that shot where it was really pinged in, the little touch in the turn once, and the goal that they scored. Other than that, I can't remember them causing Newcastle too many problems at all, and that was because of the high energy that Newcastle had, because of the ability that they've got in their team. And at the minute, Man United are miles behind, and unfortunately, that's a reality of it.
But where as top-class players, when do they realise with their own brains, we can't pass the ball on the edge of our box, because we're going to get goals when we go against us. Clip some balls in behind, get up the pitch, at least try and play in the right areas. They don't even do that, and it's like someone's got to have a bit of nous football knowledge on the pitch to know, lads, we've got to stop doing this. Clip some in the channels, get up the pitch and start playing in the right areas of the pitch. They don't even do that, and you can't blame the manager for that. The manager's on the edge of the pitch here with the 52,000, you can't hear everything, so someone's got to take control of the game and go, right, get up the pitch, play in the right areas and try and play football in the middle thirds, attacking thirds, not on the edge of your box. They're not good enough to do it, they can't do it, and they keep doing it.
And does that come back to just no leadership out there?
No leadership, no one really nous. No, someone's got to grab all. I know, if I play with Al, I didn't play with David, unfortunately, but I know they would say, get up the pitch, lads, what are we doing on the edge of our box, giving the ball away? It's too easy for them to do.
It is also, you create things from midfield, towards, the last third of the pitch, but in a way that you can feel the quality, you can feel that the construction of the game is made with ability, with skills, technique, and you can see that the players, they comprehend the game. I'm sorry to say, I'm not coming often to England to watch games like that, but I saw a Newcastle team that they were conquering the stadium, every single balls, and you have Manchester United, they play on the back foot all the time. They know creativity, they try, but you see that there's a limit, and this limit, Manchester United used to have no limit in the creation. And now this limit is there because I think it's a lack of quality. We're not saying enough about that because it's the team effort is something. The will in the game is something. But individually, you need to have the quality. You need to have the players to understand the game. And it seems to me that you don't have these sort of players right now.
Lindelof's been at the club for 9 years.
They're now in 14th at pretty much the end of this round of fixtures. Have you seen positives from Ruben Amorim's time at Man United?
Not at the moment. You mentioned there nobody likes to lose games. Of course not, but sometimes it's the way you lose. It's the way they give up some of the goals in the second half. Obviously some mistakes from players, losing possession. Obviously you knew Newcastle were going to put you under pressure, obviously. So that's the big hang-up you'd have. They've lost 14 league games, and they lost 14 last season. So that's why you have to point the finger at this group of players. No, the only defence I have, obviously, for a lot of the players, is a lot of them are still new to the Premier League. And the manager's new to the Premier League. I think the manager, if you spoke to him, I think he's scratching his head. He's frustrated in that interview, of course. He wants to focus on the next game. But you also have to reflect on the game today. That's where we're at. I bet you he can't believe how bad the United team is. I bet he obviously can't say that, and he's talking about recruiting this summer. But this group of players, the mistakes they're making, I've mentioned at the end of the game, they can't seem to get around the pitch. There's no power in the team. Some of the players who can run, I think there's some players who can run, but they don't want to run. That's another worry. Some of the goals they gave up, you got an experienced right back, just letting somebody run by him. Now that's the bit I would be frustrated with. But I think the Premiership has caught this manager and his coaching staff out. Even his first game where we covered was down at Ipswich. And Ipswich drew with them, and Ipswich probably could have won it near the end. And I bet you was thinking, this is tough. And I know people do their homework, and these coaches and staff, and obviously players do the homework before they go to a club. But I think he's gone in there, and I think he's been shocked at how bad this group of players are.
But how is there that gap between what the analysts will have done from his side and from Manchester United's side?
Kelly, the only thing I'd say, I still think you don't know a group of players or their qualities until you actually get in the door and start working with them. Of course you're on the outside looking in. You do your little bit of homework. Of course you do. You look at players and you'll have a bit of pride and ego to think, I can improve these players, I can make them better. That's a manager's job. And they brought in some players. But I think over the last couple of years, and before, obviously, this manager came in, I'm not putting it all on him, a lot of the recruitment was bringing players in who've never played in the Premier League. And I think it seems to have cut a lot of them out. They can't seem to cope with the demands, the physical side of the game. The lack of goals is a huge problem for Man United, because usually you look at Man United over the years and think, well, there'll be some sort of entertainment, they'll score goals, they'll get at him. But with 15, 20 minutes ago, this game was over. United fans must be looking, scratching their heads going, this game is over. There's no way we're getting back in this. We've only scored the one goal. We don't score many. If anything, it was going to how many you concede. And then we took the players' decision-making. We have a goalkeeper coming in today. It's difficult to get up to speed for a goalkeeper, particularly making saves. But in terms of playing out from the back and taking chances, to me, that's just madness. That's just common sense. That's just your football knowledge. Why take a chance at Newcastle where you're under the cosh? You're trying to chip balls into the middle of the park. That's where you have to look at the players and go, look, lads, give us a bit of a chance. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with losing football matches. The great teams lose football matches, but sometimes it's the way you lose it. And that second half, particularly from United, nowhere near good enough. It's easy for a manager to say, let's focus on Thursday. No, you have to look at today. This group of players, bit of fight, bit of spirit. They're lacking in quality, they're lacking pace, they're lacking power. But my goodness, show some fight. They didn't do that enough in the second half.
Just to pick up on the point that you're making about the players, because when Amorim came in, he came in with a great reputation of not just dealing with young players and developing them, but also of kind of older players where he was reinventing them or giving them a new lease of life. And it was widely praised for his tactical prowess. There was a lot said about the system that he wanted to play and questions asked as to whether Man United players would be able to do that. If he's not getting the message across, does that say something about the players' ability to take on instruction?
A bit of both. I think there's nothing wrong with a manager having his set ways and his philosophy, shall we say. But I played under some managers, but also you have to adapt. If you're working with a group of players and if you're constantly losing football matches, I know he's hanging his hat on Thursday's game against Leon, and he's thinking that'll get him out of jail, really, for the club getting the Champions League. But if you're losing week in, week out, or losing 14 league matches and there's still a few to go, you must sit with your staff and say to yourself, listen, it's well and good again having your mindset, but someone must say, but can we tweak it? Can we change it a little bit? Because if you keep getting beaten, and again, it's on the back of last season, obviously that's not all in this manager, then something's wrong. The players can't cope with it. There's players playing for Man United today. I go back to Ericsson. United's midfield, they're not mobile. They can't go around the pitch. Newcastle's midfield was more powerful. They were stronger. They were getting stronger as the game was going on. But Ericsson should have left Man United maybe 1 or 2 years. United's still going back to the players who I think are a major problem. Are these good players? I think some of them are. But are they good enough for Man United? Absolutely not. And sometimes, actually, that's not on the players. That's on the club for throwing them in there. You're throwing young lads into there. You're bringing Shaw back into the group, and you're hoping 1 or 2 of these senior players will help. But the signs are, again, I go back, we done the game last week. My eyes don't lie to me. I'd love to be sitting here watching Man United win a 2 or 3 and go, listen, I love everything about them. They've got pace, they've got power, they've got quality, they've got characters, they've got an outstanding goalkeeper, the spine is fantastic, amazing bench. United have none of that. Almost the opposite to what Newcastle had today. That's how.
Manchester United fell to a devastating 4-1 loss at the hands of Newcastle on Sunday at St James Park. Ruben Amorim made a few changes to the lineup, with one eye on the return leg of their Europa League quarter-final tie with Lyon on Thursday. With Andre Onana dropped from the matchday squad, Altay Bayindir started in goal, in what was his first Premier League appearance. Amorim deployed a three-man defence of Nasser Mazraoui, Victor Lindelof and Lainery Euro. Manuel Ugarte and Christian Eriksen started as the midfield two, with Alejandro Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes in the two number 10 roles. Joshua Zirkzee was tasked with the responsibility of leading the line for United. First half. United started well, dominating possession and looking to get into a rhythm. However, it was Newcastle who looked more dangerous, and they had the ball into the back of the net just 2 minutes in, as Joelinton turned in a cross from Kieran Trippier. Luckily for United, the flag went up immediately as the Brazilian was offside, and as a result, the goal was ruled out. United continued to keep the ball, although they weren't doing much with it. Jacob Murphy came close to giving his side the lead after Xerxes easily turned the ball over, but he fired wide from range. The flurry of chances Newcastle fashioned perhaps rattled United, who became a bit reckless in possession. Newcastle grew in confidence, winning most of the duels and the midfield battle. Second half. Amorim didn't make any personnel changes during the break. United looked dangerous immediately after the restart, with Xerxes brilliantly getting past Fabian Schär and putting Dalot through on goal. Dalot was about to shoot, and it looked like he was shoved in the back by Tonali, but the referee didn't deem the contact sufficient enough to award a penalty. The Magpies retook their lead in the 49th minute. Livramento easily evaded Dalot and delivered a low cross inside the box to Murphy, who cut it back to an arriving Harvey Barnes. The English forward was all too happy to tap in home. Just 4 minutes later, Xerxes launched a powerful surging run in a bid to bring the visitors level, skillfully weaving past multiple challenges, but the effort proved costly, as he seemed to pull his hamstring in the process. Amorim was forced to take Xerxes off and replace him with Rasmus Højlund. Patrick Dorgu and Mason Mount also came on for Amas and Garnacho. The changes didn't spark United into life, as Newcastle doubled their advantage shortly after